We are currently on our way to a waterfall, and I think in the interests of international relations I'm not even going to attempt to pronounce what this waterfall is called, so I'll put the name up on the screen now, but it's basically lies in some of these hills in the south of Corsica, and it looks like an amazing waterfall, so really interested to see if we can get a nice photo of it. The weather's pretty atrocious. It's very grey, very sort of misty, but that might work quite well for waterfall. So quite looking forward to having a little go at getting some photos of it. We haven't even made it to the waterfall yet, and we're already passing some stunning scenes just on the walk up there. I mean, one of the things I'm loving about Corsica is these rock formations. It's mainly a granitic island, I believe, so that's the right way of saying it. So we have these just wonderful rocks all around here, and beautiful pine trees. And anyway, I've popped down to this lovely little spot here where we've got this river running up, and I think this is a river which is running towards where the waterfall is. But there's some, we're kind of just spoilt for choice here for compositions. I really like this tree here on the edge. So what I've got at the moment is I've got a portrait composition with a tree on the right hand third of the image. It's fairly simple settings wise. It's ISO 100, f11, and yeah, I've got a polarizer on, which really helps to just sort of take the glare off the stream, and it's giving the surface of the water quite a nice sort of contrast, where you have the white water of the rapids with the dark of the rocks below. So the polarizer works really well in this scene. But now I'm just waiting for a little bit of a gap in this cloud, because as you can see the cloud's blowing over, and as it clears every now and again we get a bit of sun that comes down through the sky and just sort of bathes this scene in some light, which is absolutely beautiful. But combined with a sort of added element of mist in the distance there, I think it works really well. Now, rather stupidly, I decided not to bring my 14mm wide angle lens with me on this trip, which I'm regretting slightly now, because I'm actually struggling to get all this scene in at 24mm. So what I'm actually going to do is take a bit of a panoramic, which is quite difficult because we've got so much movement with the clouds going on. I have to be quite quick, because literally that mountain top will just appear and then disappear as quickly as it appeared again. So to get everything in a panoramic is quite a challenge. But I'm going to give it a go, because I think it's worth trying to get everything in this scene, and I think it might work pretty well. So yeah, I'll do a shot with a panoramic. I'm not bracketing shots here at all. I don't think it's necessary at all. I am underexposing by one shot, which in post-processing will hopefully just let me pull a little bit more out of the scene. But yep, there we go. If you look now, you can see those clouds are broken. So I'm going to go ahead and take a panoramic now.
Very good!
As you can see, Hannah is showing us how it's done, how you cross a river. She is a true professional, and I'm being a moral support. Well, if anyone has any doubts at all about whether or not Corsica is a great place for landscape photography, just check this out. I can't believe this place is just absolutely beautiful. This next image just feels like quite an obvious image to take, really. We've got this rock precariously balanced up here. So I've got that framed on the left hand side of the image, and then I'm just waiting for the light to come and hit some of these hills below, which it does every now and again. I actually am struggling a little bit here because actually with the light, the angle of the sun on this image is actually putting the shadow of my tripod into the image. So I've tried a few different angles to try and cut that out, but to be honest, I'm afraid I may have to just Photoshop that out, or take the image whilst this rock's in shadow, which would be a shame because I want to get this rock in the light. But I think I can justify photoshopping out the shadow of a tripod. What I'm doing, obviously all these images are being taken with the camera on a 2-second timer. So what I've been doing is, to make sure it's just the tripod and not me that's got the shadow in the image, I'm taking the image and then belting it over there. And then hopefully that'll give me less shadow to Photoshop out afterwards. Okay, so I've got no idea whether you're actually going to be able to hear me roar this waterfall, but this place is absolutely amazing. Basically, what I'm doing, because to be honest, I really should have bought my 14mm lens, because I'm really struggling to get this in one shot with the 24mm. So actually, what I'm going to attempt to do is a vertical panoramic, essentially, and stitch 2 photos together. I hope that's going to work. The other thing which I've been struggling with the waterfall is that I don't want my exposure to be too long, because it'll just kind of blur out that water and just turn it into a kind of marshmallowy mush, which can look nice, but I prefer to have a slightly faster shutter speed just to capture some of the water falling. And I found that actually the best shutter speed here is a 25th of a second. The trouble is, in order to get that, because I'm using a polarizer as well, just to take the glare off the rocks behind the water, in order to get a 25th of a second, I've had to bump my ISO up to 400, which isn't the end of the world. But one idea which I've had, and I don't know whether this is going to work, but what I might try and do is take a couple of photos with ISO 100, which is then pushing the shutter speed actually quite high then, quite low, and then I might try and create a blend of those images in Photoshop afterwards, and hopefully that will work out quite nicely. Okay, so we're on our way back now, but I think there's time just for one last panoramic of this view. If these clouds will give me a little bit of a break. So as you can see, the clouds keep coming in. Every now and again they lift, and we get this really nice view across the valley, and the sky's starting to turn quite a nice colour now, because we're just about to enter the golden hour. We don't want to stay out here too late because we don't want to end up having to cross that stream again in the dark. So I'm going to be quite quick. We'll take one last panoramic and then it'll be time to head home. Wow, this walk has just been absolutely amazing. Corsica is definitely impressed today. This scenery has just been beautiful. But anyway, I hope you've enjoyed coming along. I think we've managed to get some good photos from the trip. I think it's time now to head back home. Indeed. Definitely time for some supper. So we're going to pop back, hopefully manage to cross that river before it gets too dark, and without falling in. But yeah, if you have enjoyed this video, then do consider giving it a thumbs up. We really appreciate that. And if you haven't done so already, then please also consider subscribing to the channel. And we'll see you next time. Take care.